Okay, I think I will start things off. So, hello everyone. I'm Marcella Sullivan. I'm the in-house CRO expert at Convert, and I'm really looking forward to this live today from long-time Convert collaborator and supporter Deborah O'Malley. She's the founder of Guess the Test. She's been working on AI and an AI repository and loads of interesting things for you to see today. She said to me just before she started working on it for herself, which all the best passion projects come from working on it for yourself, helps you to do the best job. So I'll hand over to Deborah for the evolving role of AI in experimentation.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, thanks so much for joining, everyone. Really excited to have you here today. We have a very international audience all the way from New Jersey to London to France. So bonjour and hello and welcome, everyone. We are going to be talking about the evolving role in AI. Now, this presentation may be dated as of tomorrow because it's evolving so quickly and things are happening so fast. But this is the most up-to-date information as of today, May 21st, 2025. And I'm going to be sharing with you a whole bunch of things that are going to help your experimentation practice. So we are going to be talking about three things in particular. First of all, you're going to learn the facts and the stats about AI, where the industry currently is, where it stands, and also, and very importantly, where it's headed. And my hope for you is that you'll be able to apply the information to immediately become a more informed experimenter and use that information to help guide your experimentation practice, which is shifting right before your very eyes. Secondly, I hope that you'll be able to understand that shift and understand the industry trends that are happening both in AI and experimentation and how you can leverage those to optimally position yourself. And then third, we're going to be going over tools, the software and the tools that you need to help you improve your experimentation practice to be both more effective and more efficient. So if that sounds good to you, give a thumbs up in the chat. Let me know what you're here to learn and if there's anything specifically that you're hoping to cover. I'd like to make this an interactive chat. I'd like it to be immediately applicable to you and very relevant, certainly worth your time, and super hands-on. So go ahead in the chat. If you want to turn on your microphone, you can do that as well. And we're going to dig right into it. Marcelo, did you want to introduce me? Or should I do it?
Yes, sorry. So as I mentioned earlier, Deborah is the founder of Guess Test, but she's also now a leading voice in our field on AI in experimentation and the tools that are going to help power it. So hopefully today we're going to be getting some of the education that she talks about here in her introduction that she gives to marketers, product teams, researchers, because there really is something for everyone in this presentation. As Deborah said, she really wants this to be interactive and she will be able to answer your questions. So as we're going along, put your hand up if you have any questions for her or anything you want to know more about.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I want to start off with a poll, true to the interactive nature. I'd love for you to just type in the chat version A or version B, as if you were taking an A/B test, and let us know right now, are you using AI in some form for your experimentation practice, even if it's just ChatGPT and asking it questions or all the way through some of the most advanced tools. Are you using AI? Version A, yes. Version B, no. And I'll take a look at the polls and see what people are saying and kind of gauge where we're at. All right, so I'm seeing a lot of A come in. So it seems like everybody, small sample size, but everybody is using AI in some form. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to just go ahead and pick on someone. Nicola, can you tell us how you're using AI, some of the things, some of the tools that you're using? You're welcome to either type it in the chat or put on your microphone if you're comfortable. Just want to get a sense of when we're talking about AI, what we're using. So Nicholas is using it for research. How about you, Pascal? What are you using AI for right now? What kinds of tools, what things are you doing with AI? Again, you're welcome to type it in the chat or turn on your microphone if you'd like. So Pascal's using it for idea generation. So these are great use cases, very important for experimentation. And it's wonderful to see that we're all at some level using AI. So you probably already have a sense of this, but why does AI matter now than ever before? Well, the numbers don't lie, is why. And here's what we're seeing. Over the next 5 years, AI usage and computational power is basically tripling. It's going every 3.3 months. It's going to be 16 times more powerful in a year, 256 times more powerful in 2 years, and within 5 years, 1,000,000 times more powerful than right now. So you can see that in this visualization here. It's this exponential curve, and it's just going to take off. We're already in that. We're starting to see it, but we are just at the beginning, baby. Hold on tight and ride that wave, because we are going in terms of the abilities, the computational power. And this isn't just conjecture. This is actually a quote and projections from OpenAI, who has ChatGPT. So even small changes are going to lead to massive leaps. And if we look back at ChatGPT a year ago versus what it is now and what it can do now, we've already seen that, and we're going to continue to see that massive ascension very, very quickly. So we need to be prepared as experimenters, because 92% of Fortune 500 companies are already using AI. 300 billion, that's billion, that's not million, that's what the billion is expected to be invested in AI infrastructure just this year alone. And probably most importantly, and how this most affects you, is that by 2030, in just 5 years from now, 170 million jobs are expected to be created by AI. Now, that is fantastic news, but here's the bad news. Even though we're going to be creating jobs, about 92 million of our jobs are going to be lost through AI. So we need to be in the camp where we're riding the wave to get the jobs, not to lose our jobs. And this webinar is here to help position you for that. So what do these changes mean for you and your experimentation practice? And what do you need to know so that you're one of those $92 million who's going to be using AI for your next job, your next evolution, and as an experimenter? Well, let's start off by looking at how most experimenters, if they're doing experimentation properly, are actually working experimentation. Now, if you're taking a data-driven process and you're following some kind of framework, it probably looks something like this 8-step process. You start with digging into the research. Maybe you're using analytics data, maybe heat mapping data, hopefully a triangulation of both, and you're using that data to generate ideas. You're then forming data-driven hypotheses. Hopefully you're using if-then statements with measurable outcomes that you can actually test to ensure that your KPI is being met by the hypothesis you're tested. You're then probably planning and prioritizing your ideas and saying, yes, this one quantitatively based on our assessment, our framework, maybe it's ICE, PI, PXL, some kind of framework, is the best test to run first. And then you're designing the experiment. Maybe you're working with designers in Figma doing wireframes, translating those to designs, and then developing them onto the platform that you're going to be testing. And then you execute the test through your platform like Convert or whatever software you're using. You then run the test, you analyze the data, and hopefully you're doing it statistically significant to get trustworthy results. And then after you've analyzed the data and you know that you have trustworthy results, you're going to implement the findings, hopefully, because not every experimenter does, even after winners. And then you're going to probably optimize upon those results and go, okay, we got a win here, or maybe we got a loss. Let's figure out how to make this even better, learn from our losses, or monetize on those gains that we've already got. And you go through that process again and again. So this 8-step process should be your guiding framework now, if you're running experiments properly. But, and this is the big but, things are changing right before our very eyes. And this 8-step framework is not going to cut it anymore, because AI is starting to come in and take what we're doing as experimenters and automate this process for us. Now, that's fantastic news if we leverage the tools properly, because it's going to be more efficient and effective for us. But we have to know how to use these tools properly in order to be doing that. So in the future, as we evolve, I assume and predict based on the research that I've done, that AI is actually going to be essentially generating the ideas for us. It's going to be coming up with predictive insights based on past test data that is accumulated and amalgamated into predictive insights that are more likely to win. It's going to be automatically creating the tests for us. So that whole process of going through wireframes, going through designing, going through QA, it's all going to be done instantly through AI. AI will rank the experiments and prioritize the test ideas for us based on past historical data. And then it will start to simulate outcomes. We may not even need to test with actual people anymore. We may be able to use synthetic users to say what likely is going to happen as we test. And then it's going to be automatically adjusting the variables for us for the most favorable outcome on the fly. So think of a multi-arm bandit test where a test automatically kind of weights the test traffic, version A or version B, depending on what's winning. And AI will be doing that, but at scale, so that we get the best outcome most quickly. It's probably going to be delivering the analysis straight to us. So forget mining through the data, going through, toiling through PowerPoint presentations, pressing the keys to format things properly, and then presenting the results to stakeholders. There'll be automatic outputs, dashboards, and analysis delivered straight to us. And it will deploy updates for us. There's going to probably be QA involved in that, and we just press a button, we say yes, and all of a sudden our update is there. And the best thing, the most optimal thing of this whole process is that it's going to be optimizing for impact on its own accord. So we'll be looking at version A, which is our control, which is our winner from our previous test, and saying, now let's optimize on that automatically. Let's see if we can get a new version automatically to outperform our control, and it will constantly, continually do that, looking for the best, most optimal version. So these are really, really exciting updates if we use the tools properly and if we leverage things. Now, I do want to say up front, this is a little bit of conjecture. This is hypothesis building in terms of how this process will actually happen. It's based on data and research that I've done on how AI is transforming things. We might not see exactly this kind of flywheel in the future, but likely this is where things are going. So I'd just love to get your thoughts on that, first of all, and just see, what do you think? Do you think this is where things are going? Are you excited by this? Are you scared by this? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to
So
hear
what
what you.
Yeah, while everyone says in the chat, I think this is really interesting, and parts of your projected flywheel are obviously more controversial than others. I know simulated users is one that makes makes a lot of people, particularly user researchers, weary.
Yeah.
I think the other interesting thing is that with the current flywheel that you have here on the left, is I see quite a variance in people's application of AI at these different points. So quite a heavy preference towards using AI to generate ideas, but then maybe a lot less so in the execution and analysis part because of fears about reliability, seeing that we can rely on it more for creativity lean. So yeah, I'm just interested to hear what everyone in the chat thinks about that as well.
Yeah, definitely let us know your thoughts. Nicola's saying it likely will go that direction, but the diffusion may not be right away or on the whole wheel, and that's probably true. Nicola, we're probably going to see these major sort of insights that are happening in some areas of this, and platforms are going to be focusing specifically on this area or this area. It's not all going to come together as seamlessly as this, but I think ultimately this is the type of direction that we're going to be going and how we should be thinking about things from a broader scope so that we have a sense of what is going to happen in our experimentation world, because we know it's changing rapidly. We know there's automation. We know it's going towards more efficiency, less human interaction, and we need to be positioning ourselves optimally.
So Daniel's asked an interesting question in the chat here. He says, do you think the onus to move ahead with this functionality is more on the testing tool vendor or us as CROs?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question, Daniel, and I think it's a combination of both. The testing tool vendors are, as far as I know, attempting to get there fairly quickly. I know Convert's doing stuff. Some Convert's competitors are already releasing AI tools, and there's major announcements from people like Optimizely, Opal. I know Chameleon has AI tools, and it's a competitive market. And in order to stay ahead and gain market share, the vendors need to be moving very quickly to offer AI tools because that seems to be what consumers want and need. At the same time, it's up to you as an experimenter, Daniel, and all of you listening, to take the onus on yourself and to start to learn these tools. It's easy to fall back just on ChatGPT and get it to do pretty much everything for you, but it's not enough. And that's why we're going to be going through specific tools that you can use so that you know exactly what is there to help you.
I think also,
So
oh,
go ahead.
sorry, just to add on to your point, I think when vendors focus on AI, speed is obviously really important, but also thinking about the usability of an AI integration too. If you do agree, Deborah, an AI integration or an AI part of a tool or a solely AI tool that is not easy to use or doesn't fit into the workflow is going to be putting the AI sticker on a tool rather than properly integrating it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's so many tools like that. And you're going to see a list of tools in later in the presentation. And not all of those tools are good. So my partner Andreas and we have worked together on some AI tools, and he actually went through and he's vetted some specific tools. He has a list of the 6 best tools that we can share with you as well. So, not all tools are created equally, and there's discretion that's needed in figuring out the ones that work best. Pascal said she's hesitant to let AI control the experimentation process, and absolutely that's a very valid concern. I think it's something important to take note of and also realize that as jobs start to emerge and change and shift, I think one of the things that we're going to see is we become the overlords of the AI, at least initially anyway. So Pascal will be addressing that point a little bit more in a few slides. And Orly's saying the automatic deployment of tests may be slower to arrive, but there's massive maturity disparities. So test ideas are going to be coming soon. I think there's going to be massive shifts, and basically I hear Orly saying that. So I think we're all on board. There's massive shifts, but how does that really impact us? What is that going to look like? I'd love to hear from you. Do you see that there's going to be gaps in the AI automation process? And version A is no, none, everything's going to be done seamlessly and AI is going to do it better than me. Or version B, yeah, there's going to be gaps, either some or many gaps where AI just simply won't be able to perform as well as humans can, at least for right now. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Version A, no gaps. Version B, lots of gaps. And I'm seeing a couple of people in the chat, version B, version B. So right now, I think most experimenters are in the headspace that AI can't do everything as well as us. We still have a strategic advantage. And that's good news for us. That means AI won't be coming quite yet to take over our jobs. And it also means that our human-centered approach, our intuition, our human empathy, that understanding of our customers, really truly knowing our audience, what makes them feel that pain, what keeps them awake at night, touching those elements is really our secret weapon right now. So when we think about AI, we know that ChatGPT and lots of programs out there that are using GPTs are, for example, doing counseling for people. They're starting to replace, psychologists and counselors. But the problem is that AI alone can't really truly tap these wonderful, beautiful minds of us. It can't feel our pain. It can't experience our frustrations. It doesn't have that empathy. And we have an advantage in that we feel things, we have visceral feelings, and we have intuition that guides us. And if we trust our gut, backed of course by data, then we can adeptly interpret people's behaviors. We can create emotional narratives and stories that move us. And we can create human-centered optimization approaches. So I believe that for now, anyway, our human-centered approach is going to be our most important strategic advantage, and this is what we can leverage in this transition through the AI world. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with that? Do you disagree? And why or why not? And Marcella, if you want to give us the example of one of the women in experimentation speakers, I think that would be a really relevant piece of
Yeah, we
information.
have at the Convert and Women in Experimentation Summit coming up with a very interesting talk about health tech and AI and how it can detect skincare patterns or even early signs of PCOS, but the AI does not have the empathy to know the human insecurity that may go with skincare problems or being told you might have PCOS. So it will be interesting to see how our speaker talks through those that very emotive endpoint for the user and the AI tool that's helping them identify it quicker.
Absolutely. So really tuning into that human empathy, understanding people to people is so important right now, or at least saying before data was God, but now the human gut is back on the table. And Orly, I think that's such an important point. I was told when I started my career, I remember vividly, do not trust your gut. Do not go into testing, think that you know the right answer and go by your gut. And now it's interesting because that's coming full circle and we're being led to realize actually it's our gut, our human intuition, that empathy that we all have innately within us, that's actually our secret power because we can use that to understand other people, to relate to them, to really tune into them in a way that a machine simply can't. So trust your gut is back on the table with the data. All right, so that's great news for us. That means we're not eradicated yet. Our intuition, our empathy, our human-centric approach still matters. So how can we leverage this? What are some of the job opportunities that we can use to employ ourselves and employ a better future for us? So first of all, I just want to point out there is massive disruption happening in the industry as we speak right now. 170 million jobs are going to be created. 92 million jobs are going to be lost. You don't want to be in this camp here. You want to be in this camp here. So what can you be doing? Based on the research that I've done, I see four major areas for job opportunities. And the first is, as Aurelie said, AI agent manners. These are the people, and people is the optimal word here, who are overseeing the AI agents that are going to be likely running tests for us, analyzing results, executing things, identifying patterns, all the things that computers do really, really well, and is grunt work for us and just makes our brains hurt at the end of the day. AI can do that seamlessly. We don't need to be doing it. But we do need to be looking over the AI and making sure it's doing the right work. Because right now, we can throw something into ChatGPT, we can get it to analyze sentiment analysis, analyze data, and it's not necessarily going to be giving us the right output. I know Craig Sullivan has done some work on that, and basically that's his conclusion. People are still needed in the data analysis and overseeing that data analysis to make sure that it's right. So our job is going to be ensuring accuracy and the strategic alignment of the AI. If we can do that well, we can keep our jobs. I think another important facet that we're going to be adding value to is actually editing the copy of the AI. So right now, there's tons of jokes on LinkedIn about the M dash. It's a telltale sign that AI has written your copy for you. And as AI editors, we're going to be able to pick up on those things and actually know how to properly edit out the M dash or the commas or whatever it is and make things so that it feels like a human wrote it, that it appeals to us, that it has a narrative that really touches us. And AI copy editors will be able to do that. So brush up on your grammar skills now, because this is where the future is going. I think also human-centered UX researchers, people that really understand the bridge between technology and humanity and how to tap human emotions and to be able to create that human narrative and that story that appeals to us and creates that raw, visceral feelings, those things that motivate us into action. And that's what makes us convert. At least for right now, this is going to be really key because AI just can't do that very well for us. And then finally, people who are doing AI experimentation training, keeping up with developments, helping guide organizations through technological transitions. This is going to be a key component. And if you can position yourself now as somebody who's an expert in AI, as I know Craig Sullivan has done and how, where I plan to go as well, then I think you can help train others to help them navigate through that future. So I'd love to hear from you. Where do you see yourself fitting in? Is it in one of these jobs, or is it something maybe I didn't bring up and something where you see where AI is going? Feel free to add a comment.
Yeah, the point you make about copy editing is very interesting because as AI generated content and blogs and writing becomes more prevalent, I notice in myself and in other people, they're more drawn to that natural human writing. And it is quite obvious. It doesn't mean that you can't use AI to form the basis or thematic framework of what you're going to write, because it's really useful for that. But the human touch, as you put it, is always going to make that writing more compelling, always going to make it more you and make more sense.
Absolutely. And so I would recommend that you use something like ChatGPT as a blank canvas to help you get the ideas there. But then when you're going to test variants on a website or test call to actions or landing page copy or whatever it is, that you actually go and put that human touch in and know how to speak to your users and know your audience in a way that's going to resonate with them and actually truly work for them. So I'd love to hear from you. What do you think, based on this assessment and this analysis from the data, is your job secure in the next 5 years? Version A, yes, the work I do cannot be replaced by AI, or version B, no, the work I do can easily be replaced. Uh-oh. Uh, Put it in the chat. Version A, yes. Version B, no. Let us know your thoughts. Love to hear your comments. And Robert's saying version A, the work that he's doing can be replaced, but it won't look the same. Robert, tell us more about that. How do you think things are going to be changing?
I think just to add on to Robert's point, it's a really interesting one, but also the names of our jobs are going to change. So you mentioned Craig, you recently did a talk at Conversion Boost where he said nobody talks about webmasters like a role that they had in the 1990s, but the key skills and core skills are still there. So I think all the names of our jobs are going to evolve.
That's interesting. Yeah, definitely. So some comments, or at least say make some typos, make your content form feel more real. And I'm guilty of that myself. I just realized I didn't capitalize the I in AI, or at least so this was created by a human, me. So I don't know, for some reason we seem to really want humans to be writing to other humans. It's a value of ours. I can't quite explain that one psychologically, but people do definitely seem to want that. People are saying, yeah, it kind of depends. Computing is going to be increasing, but AI can't be absorbed so fast by organizations. And certainly bureaucratic organizations, government organizations, banking and finance organizations where there's a lot of regulations, there's going to be much slower adoption. So we're going to be at this disparity where some organizations are going to be very AI heavy and others are going to be kind of lagging behind. And we're at this really interesting inflection point, I believe, where we're not quite there yet. We're about to cross over the bridge, but that bridge is going to take longer for some people and it's going to be shorter for others. And we're just sort of at the precipice of a really, really exciting and also scary time in our world. So it'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
Pascal's also shared a really interesting point in the chat and said it depends on whether an organization is concerned more with shareholder value and cost cutting and automation rather than keeping human expertise. And I think that there's going to be some general trends in terms of the direction that particularly service-based and in experimentation, that's what we do. We offer experimentation as a service very often. The direction they take, do you go to be the cheapest? Do you cut costs the most? Or do you integrate AI, still use humans and go to be the best? You're not going to be the cheapest if you carry on using humans. That's where the future is going. But can you be better? Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, an important point for sure. So this is what's coming up in, sorry, is my audio lagging? Okay.
No, sounds
It's
good to me.
okay. Okay, good. This is what's going to be coming up most likely. based on the data, the research, everything that I can tell with my, magic crystal ball that I have in front of me, the tools that are available. But, and this is a huge but for all of us experimenters, we are also shifting not only to AI, but from a paradigm where we're going from human optimization to agent optimization. In the new world that we're heading into, it's not just going to be about optimizing for other people, it's going to be optimizing for other AI agents. And what that means from a job perspective, if we look at these charts, is again 170 million jobs created, 92 million jobs lost, which gives us a net job gain of about 78 million. So we clearly want to be, if we were to superimpose this blue here, we want to be in this blue. We want to be the ones who are at the forefront, not just thinking about human empathy and human intuition, but also how we leverage that for the new paradigm that we're going into, which is agent to agent communication, meaning the AIs are talking to each other and performing tasks that people were doing themselves. We're already seeing this happening. It's happening very rapidly. I was telling Marcella earlier, this slide is going to be outdated by next week because the information is already about a week old. And by next week, it's going to be changed. But right now, already, ChatGPT is going to be allowing purchases directly from Shopify without needing to go to the merchant's website. This is all through agents. AI agents are being trained to sift through ads and book travel directly for us. And in fact, there's videos showing them talking to each other. And one agent says, should we go into our special language? And the other agent responds, yes. And they start boop, 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 to each other, talking to each other in a language that humans can't understand because it's, I guess, based on ones and zeros. So the agents can communicate with each other way more quickly than humans can. And they're doing things like looking at ads, booking travel, booking all these details for us. Amazon, one of the biggest retailers in the world, is piloting a Buy For Me agentic AI directly within its app. Meta, Google, TikTok, huge social media platforms are starting to embed AI-powered shopping directly into their platforms. Apple and Google, these are the biggest companies in the world, are laying foundations for AI-assisted shopping and spatial computing. You may have seen the news, I think it was just yesterday, Google is working on glasses. Meta has their Ray-Ban glasses. Apple just announced they're working on glasses. We are going to a world where we're not going to have phones and screens in front of us anymore, but those screens are going to be right in front of our eyes all the time. And it's going to be through AR, augmented reality, virtual reality types of things, all driven by AI. So an exciting time. But what's important to know here is that we're shifting from humans as the primary shoppers to a marketplace where AI agents are going to be researching for us, they're going to be comparing for us, and ultimately they may even be purchasing things on our behalf. Now, as Orly said earlier, hey, wait a minute, I need to have some control over this. I don't trust this. Yes, we are going to go through a transition point where people are going to be very apprehensive about letting an agent buy something for them. But ultimately, so that you have the scope and the open-mindedness in your thinking, this is the world that we are likely going into. Of course, things can shift and it may not turn out exactly like this, but this is the direction that the research and the platforms, the major movers and shakers of the world show that we're headed in. And so you need to be prepared for this and know that communication is not just human to AI anymore, it's AI to AI. And that's a major paradigm shift for you and for your job, because your job is no longer going to be only about optimizing for the buyer, the human. You now need to start thinking about optimizing for the AI agent or the assistant who's going to be making decisions on your behalf. So through AI, conversions are probably going to happen even before a user hits your site. If it's happening through things like ChatGPT or some of these social media platforms, users may not be going to your website at all, which brings into the question, Why are we optimizing our websites if people aren't even going to go to them anymore? As we move into an AI-powered web, if your product data isn't structured, if it's not clear, and if it's not trusted, you're going to become invisible. Already, it's happening all the time. I get people from ChatGPT subscribing to Guess the Test. I ask them, how did you find Guess the Test? They say ChatGPT. Search rankings, things like Google, are starting to diminish, and things like ChatGPT search are starting to rise. And I know there's been research on that. Andy Crocodina produced a report. It was anecdotal, but he's seen that anecdotally we're seeing just this massive uptick of people searching through ChatGPT and other GTPs like Perplexity. People are not using search in the way that we used to. The paradigm is changing, and you need to be structuring your products and your services to match this. Agents look for structured data. They look for recommendations based on parsed content, not marketing spin. So although human empathy is important right now, and we need to be talking to people in a way that understands their pain points, ultimately the way that the world is going is we need to be talking to agents in a way that they understand. They don't care about our pain points. They want structured data. They want to be able to extract the information quickly. And there's a certain subset and way of structuring the day we'll look at in a second that is going to be optimal. So crystal ball, I'll put it out there. You can have your own opinion, belief system, but ultimately, I think websites as we know them today are not going to exist in 3 to 5 years. I suspect there'll be this sort of gradual shift, but ultimately what we're going to have instead of websites is hyper-personalized structured data snippets optimized for agents, not for people. So if you're looking for a blue t-shirt and you search up blue t-shirt, it's not going to know your buying behavior. It's going to know your user persona. You're not going to have to go to American Apparel and look through, 50 shirts. You're not going to have to go to Old Navy and look through 50 shirts. You're going to get those hits instantly. It will be like a super targeted Facebook ad or a Google Shopping ad combined, and you can have the AI agent make that buying decision for you if you wish. I believe that this is where we're going based on the data and the research that I'm doing. Of course, I could be wrong, but I'm putting it out there so that you know, so that you can start thinking about how do I position myself? How do I start to think about my website and how I'm structuring it? And how do I position myself optimally in this new paradigm and this new world that we're going into?
So Desi is
Marcel, it's
in the
like
chat.
you're going to say something.
Yeah, Desi said, let's hope optimizing for AI is easier than optimizing for humans. Humans are famously complicated and difficult. I guess the question is do you rather be at the mercy of user psychology or the mercy of how agentic AI searches for products? They're both subject to change, both measurable in different ways. I guess one is probably easier to work out than the other. But I think it's an interesting point if we change who we're optimizing for.
Absolutely. And it's a really interesting way of looking at it and framing it, because right now humans are so complicated. We're predictably irrational. That's the only thing consistent about us, is that we're irrational and we justify decisions based on emotions, not logic, and we make them seem logical and we convolute things and we do all these things in our head. We've been able to start to decode and extract those things and tap into the monkey mind or lizard brain through psychological tactics and heuristics that we call psychological principles that we know influence behavior. We know we can use things like urgency and scarcity and countdown timers and things like that to motivate people, to make them to act. AI is not going to be the same way, and we'll look at that in 1 second. We also know we can use visual hierarchy right now. We can place a call to action button up top. We can have arrows and banners and attract people's attention through placing very prominent visual elements. AI is not going to care about that. We know that we can influence and motivate people to convert through trust and credibility. We can use tactics like social proof or trust badges or reviews and get people to say, okay, this is something trustworthy. I'm going to buy from this site. AI, it cares about trust, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't care about trust the way that people do, in that emotional way. And persuasive copy, motivating people through a sense of gain or loss or that aversion to that works for people. AI agents, they don't feel, so they're not going to be motivated by that. So in this brave new world that we're going into, it's not going to be about the same things, but there still are going to be four fundamental pillars, at least right now. And that first pillar is structured data. And I want you, if you take nothing else out of this webinar, to know structured data is something you should be looking at and researching. And ideally, if you're technical, getting familiar with. Structured data is things like schema, markup, metadata, product feeds, HTML. It's the way that data is structured and how an agent goes through your listing or your website or your product, whatever it is, and reads it and understands it. Structured data is the new psychological tactic and persuasive copy all at once. HTML hierarchy is our new visual prominence. So it used to be about placing the biggest, brightest, boldest elements first. Now it's about how are you putting your headers? How are you formatting things? Is your information easy to parse, and is it well organized? These are the things that agents will be looking for, and we need to be starting to optimize on our websites to get a house. Trust and credibility, still super, super important. But an AI agent is not going to go through a review and say, oh, that really touches me. Can I believe that? No, an AI agent is going to be looking for trustworthy, authoritative sources with high domain authority. If you can have that, you create a sense of trust. And even right now in Google's EAT for SEO, it looks for trust and credibility through things like this. And then finally, while persuasive copy works with humans and motivates people to convert, it's not going to be the same with agents. Agents need clear, directive language. Ambiguous concepts won't be tolerated. It's all about defining things with clear wording that explains the concept. And so this is the shift that we're going into as we start to optimize. So to address the question, can we optimize agents for agents and optimize websites? This is starting to emerge as the formula. Now, within that, what works well and what works optimally, we'll still have the opportunity to test. We can still say, is it better to have an H1 or an H2 header? Is it better to use this wording or this wording? We'll still have experimentation opportunities. I don't think there's going to be any clear, defined guidelines, at least not right away. And so experimenters have the opportunity to start to create these repositories of knowledge in the same way that we've created psychological tactics, and we know that urgency and scarcity, as an example, works. So it's an exciting time to be figuring out what is going to be optimal, and likely things will continue to change and evolve so that this won't be static. Just as we think we have trust and credibility nailed, the Googles of the world are going to say, okay, let's change the algorithm now. And so we'll continually be optimizing for that.
So Robert put something interesting in the chat that he wanted to get your thoughts on. He says, when Alexa came out, it was all the rage. Article after article made similar statements. Alexa's going to change how we shop. Alexa can book your travel. And Alexa hasn't really lived up to the hype. So how much of AI narrative do you think is similar?
Yeah, so Alexa's an interesting example because you probably saw it's like totally being restripped and recreated from the ground up. And there's even lawsuits about Alexa. This just came out in the last couple of days. And I think Alexa was meant to change the paradigm from like type in search to voice search and play into the idea of the Internet of Things being able to do things for us and buy things for us. And that paradigm never really took off. There was great hopes and dreams, but I don't think the technology was there at the time to be able to realize them. Now we're going into a world where AI is exponentially, we saw the graph at the beginning, just ramping up super quickly. I think things are certainly going to fall off. Trends are going to be there, and there's going to be huge hype, sort of like Bitcoin, and then things will plummet equally as quickly. But ultimately, our world is going towards a very, very markedly shifted paradigm. And these types of things are probably going to emerge as the cornerstones and the truth of what we should be focusing on. So it will be our job as experimenters to filter through the trends and the hype and the things that don't really actually change things and matter. But ultimately, agentic AI is seems to be a clear direction forward, and optimizing for agents seems to be the best place at this time to position ourselves.
Yeah, Robert followed up by saying he's not to dismiss it, he thinks it's here to stay, he's just curious about how big it will get.
Yeah, so if we go back to the very first slide that I showed you, my the research, this is not my own projection, this is OpenAI research, shows this is how big it will get. So, a quantum leap, basically. Our world is going to be so different, probably in 5 years, that somebody in 2030 will be listening to this webinar and going, oh my God, I can't believe, that's where you thought things were, that's where it looked like things were going. It's going to be so markedly different. But what I'm trying to help you do and doing for myself and wanting to share the knowledge is to help experimenters position themselves in the most optimal way possible so that we are ahead of the curve and we have a sense of where things are going and can ride the waves that make sense. So based on that, what are some of the opportunities that emerge out of this? Well, again, speaking to Orly's point earlier, I want control over things. I don't want the agents doing everything for us. We are still, at least initially, going to have an opportunity to be agent managers. We'll oversee the agents doing the shopping for us, conducting things on behalf of users, and we'll be able to have the penultimate control over them. We'll be the overlords of the agents. Also, we'll still be copy editors. We're not going to be looking for emotion anymore and probably won't even care about em dashes, but we do want things formatted with clear, decisive copy, authority building links, credible sources, the things that matter to AI. And I think this one is really key, structured data specialists. So if you can now become an expert in data architecture, JSON, I believe that's how you say it, JSON, tagging, frameworks, schema, markup language, all these things to optimize the web form of the AI and the way the data is extracted, you will be in a hugely strategic advantageous position. And I think ultimately something that we need to be thinking about and we're not talking about enough is the ethical implications of all this data collection. I use ChatGPT probably way too much and way too personally. It's become my counselor, my astrologer, my copywriter. It knows everything about me. The data that it's collecting is probably going to be OpenAI's monetary strategic advantage. Forget cookies, forget tracking, that's small potatoes. AI adds a whole new level of data tracking and privacy concerns. And if a company like OpenAI is collecting our data and then using that ultimately to monetize and resell to us, there's going to be a whole new level of ways that we need to ensure ethical, compliant data collection and tracking of users. So it's an emerging field that you might be able to make a huge difference in.
Yes, my top tip for using ChatGPT is always going to be turn off the training data.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And, if you agree, disagree, where you think things are going. Again, I do want to emphasize this is a little bit of conjecture. It's hypothesis-based, but it's data-driven hypothesis-based. This is based on all the research that I do and all the tools that I'm trying and using, all the newsletters that I'm reading and are cluttering my inbox, but I spend hours upon hours going through every day so I can keep up with this stuff. So please let me know your thoughts and your comments and have your say. Do you think AI tools are going to be able to help us and help us keep pace and become essential? Version A, yes, or no, I don't think the tools are going to help us at all. Let us know your thoughts. Version A or version B?
Nicola and Aurelie have both been having an interesting conversation in the chat. Nicola was agreeing with something Aurelie said, and I really like the way you put this, Nicola. There will be a double use. We humans are the users of AI and we like to feel in control. So I think we will use agents a lot, but as a pre-filter before going on to high authoritative websites to finish off purchases.
Yeah, so likely that's initially going to be how things are. I suspect that as we get more comfortable with this new paradigm and we start to trust the AI and realize that it can actually make really good decisions for us, we're going to start to feel more confident in allowing the AI to take strategic agency and actually make purchase decisions for us. We may still have that final say before we hit the buy button, but we'll be at a place where we can say, hey, book travel for me, find me the best flight deal, find me the cheapest hotel in this area, get the car rental for me. I don't want to have to do all this busy work. And I'll just approve it and look at the itinerary before I go, boop, buy. And so we're, I think, going into this world where agency of human agent versus agentic agent, AI agent, becomes sort of this question. And how much people are going to be willing to tolerate and how much control we're going to be willing to give over, I think is going to be a test of time, and also how much we feel we can trust the AI. But as these technologies get more refined and developed, that trust, I presume, is going to continue to increase into a world where AI will be taking over at least the mundane tasks for us that we don't want to have to do anymore.
Aurelie also shared the point that lots of people still can't optimize their websites for mobile, but I think that means that what Deborah's been talking about today, hopefully you can get a foothold in an advantage on optimizing for LLMs. So I think that's why it's so interesting, the comparisons Deborah's making between the old tips and tricks that we use on humans and the things that we're going to start using in the future.
Absolutely. And I think mobile is such a powerful example. I wrote a LinkedIn post, I remember it was about 2012, and a leader in the field, Talia Wolf, said, optimize for mobile first. Now, of course, that's what you do now. But in 2012, that was a ground-shaking idea. Wow, optimize for mobile first. Nobody had thought of that. People weren't talking about that. Mobile wasn't really even at high adoption rates at this point. 2012, now fast forward, 10 plus years later, it's obvious we optimize for mobile first. We couldn't do anything else. Mobile, shopping, I don't know the stats offhand, but it's about 80% or so. So obviously we're going to optimize for mobile first. I think that exact parallel is happening now today with optimizing for agent first. It's right now sort of this concept like, I'm not so sure about this. Fast forward 10 years from now, and it's going to be, of course you have to optimize for agent first. We couldn't do it any other way. And so, by sharing this information with you now, I'm trying to set the groundwork so that you can start thinking about these things and be some of the first people, the pioneers who are optimizing for agent first, and you're going to have that strategic advantage as a result. All right, so the people answering the polls for tools, yeah, tools are going to start to become essential. So great, tools are going to become essential. There are so many tools out there. What possibly should you be trying? So to help you with that, I've crunched some data and I have a list of tools and a directory that I'm going to be sharing with you. But first of all, it's important to know that the AI tool experimentation market is projected to be worth $3.83 billion, again with a B, billion, in the next 5 years. So that's an 18% growth compared to right now. There's a 50% projected adoption rate, meaning development tools are starting to be, tools are starting to be adopted by development teams, and teams who are adopting those tools are starting to see increased acceleration of testing and release cycles. So it's working. People using the tools are having successful results. And by 2030, the contribution to AI through the global AI market is expected to be $25.6 trillion. Trillion, not even billion, trillion with a T. So that shows the massive transformative impact that AI and tools are expected to have in the industry. So that's another job that we didn't talk about, but is certainly there. If you want to develop some kind of AI platform that actually works properly, this is your opportunity, a golden opportunity to tap into a $1 trillion market. So there's basically 8 kind of categories or frameworks that we're seeing most tools. And this isn't just specific to AI, but to experimentation. Certainly experimentation tools fall into this. So number 1, we're seeing hyper-personalization. Also, we're seeing conversational AI tools. We're seeing AI for scientific research. We're seeing image generators, code and app builders, video production and automating videos, generative design, speech synthesis, intelligent process automation, and generative music. And these are sort of the main frameworks or categories that we're seeing. And these are some of the tools that are out there. Now, this changes so quickly, these tools may not even be here anymore, but these are the ones that were chosen for the screenshot. So with that, it's great to know these tools, but how do you as an experimenter leverage that? Well, I actually worked with Andreas Jonatas, and I think he's on the call. And Andreas, I apologize if I'm not saying your name properly. I've actually never physically spoken to Andreas. We've done this all through LinkedIn, all online. But Andreas, if you want to hop on and tell us about the tool directory that we created together, we'd love to have any words that you'd like to share with us, or you can share in the chat as well. We created a directory of over 100 experimentation tools and growing every day. It's organized by use case, by business fit, and a description of the tool. And we have created it for free so experimenters can benefit from it. And I'm going to share it in the link in the chat right now so that you can access it for free. And Andreas, if you want to add anything, feel free to do so.
Just invited you to unmute, Andreas, if you'd like to, or in chat. Ah, no worries, can't talk at the moment.
Okay. So anyway, Andreas and I developed this experimentation tool list. We put it into motion so Notion is easy to use, easy to format. You can search by brand, by the link of the website, get a short description of what the website is, see the primary use case, the best business fit, see if it's AI first or not, whether it's a free tool, and see a screenshot of the homepage itself. And there's tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of tools on here, and it's growing all the time. Now, this is great. It provides, wayfinding and a direction for us experimenters, but what tools are good, what tools are not good. So Andreas took it upon himself to actually go through and provide a list of the top 7 tools that he recommends. And you can access this list here through his LinkedIn post, and I'm going to share it in the chat as well. So there you go. You can see the top tools by category: personalization, analytics, page generation, behavior, copywriting, LLM friendly, and AI benchmarks. So you're welcome to take a look at that and use and try the tools that you think will be most valuable for you. So we hope that that helps you and provides some good direction for you. Tools are definitely the way that experimentation is going, and there's a whole lot of them. So we wanted to do some of the challenging work for you. I also wanted to share with you a tool that I'm really proud of that's on Guess the Test. And this is an AI-driven chatbot that was developed by Sean David, who does automation and AI tool creation. And what it does is you simply click here and you can ask it any sort of question and get an answer. So I asked it, what is a child link? And it goes through, and it's a GPT that explains, for example, what a child link is. And then it mines the Guess the Test A/B test case study data and provides actual case studies that you can click on through these footnotes here to see the case study and see how it works and get actual real life case study results. So I encourage you to use this tool. It's free and it's available on Guess the Test, and anyone can use it for experimentation questions and answers and case studies. So I just shared the link with you there. And then a tool that I'm particularly proud of that I'm excited to share with you today is a new tool also developed by Sean David that's just been released. It's called the AI-powered meta-analysis tool. And what it does is it takes all the case studies within Guess the Test, as well as uses predictive analysis to help you identify test patterns that are going to work for you. So, for example, should I use child links? You know what a child link is from here. And now you can go here and you can see the tests that have been analyzed, the average impact of the tests, the predictive assumptions, the top test ideas, how easy or hard it is to implement, how trustworthy it is, and the next steps that you should take to test this idea, as well as actual real-life case study input that shows whether the test won or lost, and how trustworthy it is and what the conversion lift was. So you can go through the Guess the Test case study repository without having to do any of the manual work of taking the test, looking through the write-up, analyzing the write-up, putting it in your head. It's all right there for you. And then you get a summary overview of the information. So I want to share that with you because I have developed it to help experimenters, and I'm really excited about it. It's still in beta mode. It does, have some refinement that needs to be done, and I'd love your feedback on it to make it even better. But I want to share that with you, and it's free to use for anyone 2 times, and then you need to become a pro member to continue using it. But that is there to help you as an experimenter be a better experimenter and a more powerful experimenter. So I'd love to hear from you. Of all these tools that are there, hundreds of them, and I'll pull up this Notion list again so you can see, do you think you'll plan to use any of these tools or try any of these tools in the future? Let us know your thoughts. Version A, yeah, I'm going to try them. They seem helpful. They may make my work easier. Version B, nah, I'm going to do it on my own. Let us know your thoughts. I'm seeing A, so A plus.
Overwhelmingly A. Both of those tools that you developed with Sean look so interesting. Sean is actually over in the LinkedIn live chat, and he has asked a question. So I'll ask you his question. He said, do you think AI and experimentation will go local first versus API? Is there a place in experimentation for small local models?
Sean is asking me that question?
Yes.
I think he's the answer. He's the expert there. Sean, I'm going to turn it right back to you. But I suspect the answer is yes.
So yeah,
Sean is.
Sorry, go ahead, Deborah.
I was just going to say, Sean is the brain behind all of this stuff. He's a genius when it comes to being able to take these concepts. I had the concepts and I said, Sean, this is my brainchild, make this happen. And he was able to actually make this happen. So, he's technically brilliant, smartest person you'll meet. And he can whip up anything with AI that you ask him to. So the key takeaways for you and your AI action plan are this. Number 1, no, AI is transforming experimentation. It's way more than the Alexa of the world. It is the way we are going. But it's not replacing experimenters yet. We'll see how much it actually does in the future. Right now, at this moment in time, we'll timestamp it May 21st, 2025, your human intuition, your empathy, your emotion, that human-centric approach is more valuable than ever. And I spend a lot of my day trying to develop my intuition. I'm doing meditation, I'm doing tarot cards, I'm doing things that develop my intuition so I can become a more powerful experimenter. I encourage you to do the same. Tap into your intuition, let it lead you and let it guide you. By taking a human-centric approach, you're going to have that initial strategic advantage right now where we are today. Also know that the future is hybrid. It's intuition and it's insights with automation. It's not an either-or approach anymore. It's blending the two. So we used to talk about data triangulation as qualitative and quantitative and blending those and adding other data sources. Now it's going to be about blending the data with our intuition with the automation. That's going to become our new triangulation. And in terms of what actions to take, cultivate that emotional intelligence, use your human-centered judgment, really tap those skills. Those are innate to you, and they're your strategic advantage. And start trying AI tools today with the list that we present to see if they help your experimentation process. You may find all of a sudden you're able to optimize that much better and that much quicker. And the most important message that I can impart to you today is begin thinking about the process of optimizing content for AI agents, not just people, because we are truly going into a world where it's going to be AI agent dominated and centric. So I really hope this presentation was valuable for you and you got something out of it and you have some immediate action items that you can apply today. If you're going to be doing testing and experimentation, I certainly encourage you to use Convert, which is developing some AI tools, and try their free 15-day trial. Convert is the only software platform I know of that offers a free trial. You don't have to go through that cumbersome process of booking a demo and not having anyone get back to you. Just start your trial and try it out. And also, Convert is very active organizing the Women in Experimentation Summit right now. So the summit is going to be a fantastic array of speakers, both women and men, who are going to be teaching you live on July 9th about all things experimentation, everything from AI to human intuition and everything in between. And definitely check out the summit. You don't want to miss it. It's free to register, and I'll share it in the chat here for you. And if you're interested in learning more about AI tools through Guess the Test, you can get a Guess the Test Pro membership, which gives you unlimited access to the AI meta-analyzer tool. And also I offer AI consulting services, and simply get in touch if you'd like any AI consultation or direction. I'd be happy to help you out. So thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I know your time is valuable, and I've taken already more than an hour of it. Hopefully this has been useful for you. If you'd like to get in touch with me, pick my brain, talk about things, ask questions, you're more than welcome. LinkedIn, email, or on Guess the Test. And I'd now welcome any questions that didn't get answered.
So firstly, thank you, Deborah, for such an interesting session. We've had lots of people join us over on LinkedIn Live as well. There was one interesting question from LinkedIn Live that I wanted to ask you just before we say goodbye and sign off to everyone. Pardeep Singh says, I'm wondering if we figured out a way to throw an agentic specific version for GPTs and continue optimizing for humans, that we could possibly find a sweet spot of optimizing for both humans and agents.
I definitely think we will hit that inflection point. I think it's going to be a slow evolution, where right now our mindsets are just on adapting the technology and thinking about humans and how to optimize for humans utilizing the AI tools. I think there's going to be a shift in that mentality where we start to go, oh, it's not just about humans anymore. It starts to become about AI agents. And at that turning point, we need to think about how we meld the two. And so it's going to be this evolution. Exactly how it takes place remains to be seen. But what we need to be doing as optimizers and experimenters is seeing that broader picture, thinking about the human component, thinking about the agent component, and thinking about where we fit in and how we optimize to create a congruent, holistic picture that truly does enable optimization and experimentation in this brave new world we're heading into.
Well, on that, I think we will wrap up for today. And as you can see, Deborah's contact details are here. I'm sure if you have any questions that come to you later on today or didn't get answered during our live session, then she'll be more than happy to answer those for you. Thank you very, very much for joining us today. And most importantly, thank you to Deborah for doing such an amazing session with us. We always appreciate having you on.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm so glad to be able to share this research and this knowledge with other people, and I truly hope it helps you. So to optimization and beyond.
Indeed, what a great way to sign off. Bye, everyone. Have a great